Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon. That's Will Manis on the screen. I don't think he knows he's on the screen, but that's completely okay. We didn't mean for him to be on the screen. Tonight, 1980s college football
Hey, man.
draft. Myself and Will, we're pumped to be here and do this, aren't we, Will?
So pumped. So pumped. It's going to be interesting. Gonna have to. It's going to be. You'll see. You'll all see. It's a couple of guys that don't know nobody, don't know anything, and we're going to try to put a football team together.
Yeah, in some form or fashion. And you're going to be right here with us on tonight's episode of The Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
All right, and welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon, alongside Will Manis, Ralph in the background, and a potentially new intern in the background as well, about 3 inches from his camera. But he is got the
Hard at work. He's hard at work.
The sound of God is just vibrating throughout his apartment complex, so we can't put him on the stream. But no, he might just become someone who's faceless. We may never show his face live on stream. We'll kind of see how that character develops. But hey, hope you're having a fantastic. Yeah, he might like that. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday evening as we get ready to kick off a series. We talked about this on Monday night, and I previewed it again last night. We're going to go all decades teams in college football. That is, we're going with a draft each and every single Wednesday night. Tonight we kick it off with. Look, I know the 1980s, I should say. Well, I know that we sit here and honestly, we don't know a lot about football before 1970, and I don't, or 1980. And I'm going to say this too. I don't know if I even care, to be honest with you, because
we don't know much before 2000. If we're being honest,
born in 97, couldn't tell you.
Yep.
I don't know nothing about that 1990 split national title between Colorado and Georgia Tech. That's all I'm going to say. So we're going to get right down to brass tacks here. We're going to draft a team. Now, how this is going to look, we're going to go one quarterback for each, a head coach for each team. And then we're going to rock and roll with 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a offensive line unit, and then 1 player at each of the 3 levels of the defense. Well, we didn't talk about this. No special teamers, I guess.
No special teamers.
We do love special teamers, but no special teamers.
I love a kicker. I love a punter. I mean, it's great that I'm an Auburn fan, and I feel that way about kickers and punters because they're on the field a lot. They have been the last 3 years. So
this is true.
But, and historically, Auburn has had good kickers and punters. There's a lot of, the good programs have them, but, they're kind of boring, to be honest. So, and I couldn't tell you a kicker from the 1980s. So we're not even gonna go there.
We're not going there, and that's okay. So, all right, let's, without further ado, very official way of kicking this thing off. Will has provided us with the all-encompassing coin, where we will flip between heads and tails. And before we do this, you, the people watching, if there's going to be anyone watching this episode, you get to vote on who has the better team, and we'll probably maybe leave it up to social media after the fact as well.
Already.
Bryce's going to be disappointed he can't take Iowa punter. Ken, get out of my show. Just because of that comment right there. Okay, here we go. Let's rock and roll.
Are you heads on tails? Is that
Wait, give me a second. That was the drum roll. I'll call it in the air. Heads. All right, Will with the first pick.
I got the first pick. So we'll go coach first.
Time out. Is this a snake draft? Are we going snake draft?
Yeah, we're going snake draft. So
okay.
so we'll get 2 picks in a row.
Okay.
We'll go coach first, and this was tough because obviously the best coach in the history of Auburn football dominated the 1980s.
He's there,
and I've got the number 1 pick. I mean, this is kind of easy. How much of a homer am I going to be? Just looking at the list, some great coaches in the 1980s. Jimmy Johnson at Miami. Lou Holtz, who you're fond of, spent some time in the ACC at South Carolina. If you miss Monday's show, you won't understand the joke of that.
You will not understand.
Yeah. Vince Dooley, obviously, who I expect you to get who you
Yeah.
that's who I expect you to take, but we'll see. Barry
Yeah.
Switzer, Oklahoma, great. You know, I'm just going to be a homer. I'm taking Pat Dye. I mean, he took Auburn to heights that they had never been before. Won a ton of games and did it in different ways. You know, obviously he comes in and installs the wishbone offense, and after a couple years, after Bo Jackson leaves, changes to the I formation, starts airing it out, and had success there too. So I think being able to adapt like that, you got to have that in a head coach, no doubt. And so you know that's why I'm taking Pat Dye.
Okay, Pat Dye going number 1 overall. Now, Will, before I make my pick, because it's going to flip back to me. That's how the snake draft is going to work. I'm going to go again.
Yep, goes right back.
We're
to you.
going.
So you have the real number 1 pick.
Yeah, I have the real number 1 pick. We're going straight through positions. Like I can't take a receiver and then you take a quarterback. Like we're going position by position. That's how we're working this, correct?
Sure.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it does. We can kind of stay in the same position group. I hadn't even thought about that, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right. So we have our faceless intern in the background. He is putting this together for us. So you roll with him. I'm rolling with a guy who won, I believe, 2 national titles in that 1980s, if I'm not mistaken. In 1987 and 1989, I'm taking Jimmy Johnson. He was with the Cowboys in the 90s, won 2 Super Bowls with them, 2 national titles with Miami, really kicked off a run where Miami was one of the more heralded programs in the country. So I'm going Jimmy Johnson because, well, if I'm building my team, let's say if we're taking the 1980s team, we're putting him in today's day and age with NIL, with transfer portal, I think Jimmy Johnson could handle the drama that comes with today's college football.
No doubt. I agree with you 100%. Our faceless intern putting in the work, giving me some numbers here. Pat Dye, 153 wins at Auburn, 5 conference championships, 7-2-1 in bowl games. At that time was as controversial as you can get. He played for a tie, and that became his can't even think of the word. But yeah, so great work back there. But I agree with you. Jimmy Johnson's a great pick. I gotta be a homer. I gotta be.
I get it. It's fine.
You're smarter than me. You're going for the win. I'm going for what feels good. And he tells us 81 wins for Jimmy Johnson, but obviously did not have the same longevity coaching college as he jumped to the Cowboys. But yeah, did win in 1987 national championship. Yeah. So I guess the real number 1 pick goes to you. Are we starting with quarterback here?
Yeah, we'll start with quarterback. We'll start with the big one here. And my good friend Trent Garner says Snoop Dogg said it's like the U in the 80s. No doubt about it. Y'all weren't even alive in the 80s. Yeah, we know, Jonesy. That's it. And Trent says too, Will, you're picking from your heart and people will respect you for it. Exactly. That's what we're going for here.
Let's see.
Okay, so I got my coach. I got Jimmy Johnson in the building. Now, when you look at this draft pool that we put together, I want a little flair. I want a little personality. And so Tommy Hodson's not my pick. That's not my pick.
He's got quite the resume. He's got quite the resume.
No, yes. I am going with the 1989 Heisman Trophy winner, Andre Ware.
Oh, okay.
That's where I'm going with mine. So look at that stat line right there. Over 8,000 passing yards, 81 total touchdowns, that 89 Heisman Trophy winner, and a Davey O'Brien Award winner, and a consensus All-American. Look, if I need a guy that's versatile. I need a guy that can do a lot of different things, and I'm going for flash. I like Andre Ware. He's going to be my guy. And I think under Jimmy Johnson, that's a fun combination. So that's where I'm going with my number 1 official pick, and we'll get this right here. Josh, buddy had a rough day with UPS, burning up in the truck. Hashtag free Ralph. All right, so Andre Ware for me.
Ralph is more than free because he's not here. He's more than free.
He's not here. He's watching on his couch. All right, so Andre Ware is my pick. Hey, that's where I'm going.
Love that pick. Andre Ware. I don't know. Is this too much of a shot to say? Great quarterback, not so great broadcaster.
No.
He does a solid job. He does a solid job. Unfortunately, he gets kind of the lower end games. But he does a nice job. I really like this pick. I mean, he kind of was ahead of his time being a real dual threat quarterback. at Houston too, doing it on a smaller stage, but bringing Houston up. Really like that pick. So for me at quarterback, it's kind of tough because I take Pat Dye, obviously not
Yeah.
known to have a dynamic quarterback. We good? Did I skip around? I probably did.
You skipped around for a second. You're fine.
Don't necessarily need a dynamic quarterback. Don't really need a dynamic quarterback, although obviously it would help. Obviously gonna look to run the ball. But I'm going with a guy that has a really, really underrated resume. I'm going Vinny Testaverde. 6,000 passing yards, 48 passing touchdowns, 1983 national champion, 1986 Heisman Trophy winner, Maxwell Award, Davey O'Brien, and Walter Camp Award winner. Obviously, Pat Dye didn't have a quarterback like this. So this is probably the best quarterback he'll ever have. Obviously racked up the awards. Very, very surprised when researching and making up this pool to see the resume on Vinny Testaverde. Kind of a guy that's, talking to people that watched him play like our parents. He's kind of like the butt of the joke. But really surprised. He's got quite the resume.
No, I mean, look, and when we think about Vinny Testaverde, we think about him in his longevity. He played for 21 seasons in the NFL. You think about him, obviously, with the Jets too. I think that's a big piece. But like you talked about, he won the Heisman Trophy in '86, consensus All-American. And I don't care. Maybe he didn't have the greatest NFL career, but it's a guy who stuck around for 2 decades in the NFL.
Yeah.
That was long enough for us to see him play. So some longevity
Right.
there. I like your pick. A guy that is consistent too. Okay,
Yeah.
so back to you here. Quarterbacks are in. Let's get to a couple comments right here because this is
Okay.
good.
Yep.
Josh Pittman says, "Tell Ralph he needs to file them 9.5s. We need them here." Josh Pittman, a fellow UPS driver. Ken Ender says, "I'm just destroyed that you guys started coaches and didn't get Lou Holtz or Tom Osborne." Very much in the picture. Very much in the picture.
They were discussed for sure.
They were discussed. James McCoy, Bo Jackson, the GOAT. You were going to see.
Hey, I've
where
got the
Will's
next
gonna
pick,
go.
and we're moving on to running backs. So,
oh man, look at this. Vinny lost me 500 in the national championship game. John
gosh.
Burns. John, is that why you were always asking people to give money to Georgia Tech because you lost yours betting on Vinny Testaverde back in the 80s? That's rough. That is rough. All right. Will, without further ado, I think Will's frozen. We're just watching him smile creepily. Over here.
Frozen?
Do you have too much going on your desktop there?
I think I got too much going on. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm closing some stuff over here trying to get back. Okay, so moving on to running backs.
All right.
Don't even have to say it. Can you not hear me?
It looks like you're being filmed on a Nokia.
This is great.
And I can't even put the comments up, even though they're absolutely hilarious because they're not appropriate.
This is great.
If John has 500 to bet on games, he can do more than 100 a quarter for the Institute. Probably so. Well, how about this? How about you exit out, refresh, and come back? That's what we're going to do. All right, that's what we're going to do real quick while he continues to do that. All right, we are going to – so Will goes Bo Jackson. Look, he can talk about him. I'll explain why he goes with this pick right here. Bo Jackson, the most dynamic athlete that we've ever seen in sports, period. I mean, when you talk about a guy who is up there, he's a guy that is just unbelievable, Will. Look, there we go. Bo Jackson. Talk to me about Bo Jackson.
I mean, if I was in mom's basement, my stuff would probably work.
Honestly.
To be honest. 1985 Heisman Trophy winner, Walter Camp Award winner, unanimous All-American. It's a toss-up between him and Herschel Walker for the best running backs in the history of college football. What he did, just the athlete that Bo Jackson is, he could do it all. Running, he could catch out of the backfield, return kicks, all-star in Major League Baseball, the only guy to be an MLB All-Star and an NFL Pro Bowler. Just speaks to the athlete that he was. Power runner, could run past anybody. Just you gotta have that dynamic playmaker on your offense. And if I'm going with a guy that wants to run the ball, I'm getting his running back.
Yeah,
taking Bo Jackson.
So great pick. I love the fact that I get to go 2 for 1 here with you, though. Like that, like I love that because this offense, we are going to be just. I don't know. It's going to be a fun and run. I don't know what we're going to do, but we know Andre Ware's a great athlete. So with the first one, I'm going Barry Sanders. I'm taking a guy shifty, one of the most fluid running backs that I think we've ever seen in college football. Oklahoma State legend, Detroit Lions legend. You see the stats right down here at the bottom of the screen. 88 Heisman Trophy winner, 88 Maxwell Award, 88 Walter Camp. The guy was pretty good in 1988. 48 rushing touchdowns. Love what he brings to the table. So I'm going Barry Sanders. Now, because it's a snake draft and because I lost that heads pick earlier, I get to double up right here. I'm going with my guy, one of the greatest ever to do it. Like you said, Herschel Walker. You talk about a combination of if we're running Herschel right, Herschel left, and then we can mix in Barry Sanders, that 1-2 combo might be one of the greatest 1-2 combos. If you had I'll just say this, Will, if this new college football game has like a Diamond Dynasty or has like a Ultimate Team,
you know it is,
and
it's
you know it is,
ultimate.
that's what I want my 2 running backs to be because that is going to be a ton of fun. So I'm going Herschel Walker. You see what he did right there. Political career. We're not taking that into effect. We're not taking that into account here. We're not taking that into account here. But I'm going with Bo. I'm sorry. I'm going with Herschel. You took Bo. Going with Herschel, and then I'm going with Barry Sanders. And obviously, you kind of get the last pick of this running back round.
Yeah. I think you took the 2 that complement each other best of anybody else we have on our list, including the ones in the pool. You've got the power with Herschel. You got the shiftiness with Barry Sanders. Herschel could run by you too, but you're going to use Barry Sanders, catch ball out of the backfield, kind of be that, just use that speed. I'm going to take a guy that ended up being teammates with Bo Jackson in the NFL. I'm going to go Marcus Allen.
It's a good one.
4,600 rushing yards, 45 TDs, won the 1981 Heisman Trophy, Maxwell and Walter Camp Award. Look, you might be building a team that's going to play well together, but I'm taking all the awards. I'm taking guys that win trophies, and hopefully they can figure out how to win the big trophy at the end of the season. I think Marcus Allen is a good compliment to Bo. We're going to run the ball. We're going to need two running backs at least, maybe 3.
Yeah.
But I think Marcus Allen a good compliment to Bo. Let Bo bring the power. Marcus Allen kind of be shift your guy, catch it out of the backfield a little bit more. Taking Marcus Allen.
I like it. All right, moving on to the wide receiver round. I've got the number 1 pick here in this round. And look, if I got Jimmy Johnson, and there's a host of good.
Wait. It's my pick. You just went 2 in a row. It's a snake draft.
Oh, it's a snake draft. So, yeah, you get to go. I just spoiled my pick right there. So hopefully you don't take who I want, but we'll keep going.
I think I am going to take who you want. But not just because you said it. I think he was number 1 on my list as well. As we're waiting for the stats to be loaded in here. I'm going to take Michael Irvin. Obviously balled out with Jimmy Johnson. Playmaker on the outside. Since I don't have the banner up. Over 2,000 receiving yards, 26 touchdowns, 1987 national champion with Jimmy Johnson. I don't know who's going to cover. We'll have to see who you take for defensive back, but I don't know who's going to cover. And we've got some good names at defensive back. First team All-American, Michael Irvin, obviously, can do it all at the receiver position. Just a really solid all-around playmaker out there.
That hurts. That really hurts right there. Michael Irvin, obviously, great pick. And I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. All right, I'm going through my big board here because there's some receivers for me that kind of fit what I want to do. Okay. So if I'm going off of what Andre Ware was good at, you go back to those Houston teams inside the Astrodome, by the way, go look up some of those clips. It was a run and shoot, light up the scoreboard type of offense. And this is a guy who it might kind of surprise people I'm taking him here, but when you really dive into his stats, I think it's a lot of fun. I'm going with a guy who averaged 22 yards per or after the catch. That's what he was able to do. And I am going with the young man, Tim Brown. This is a guy who is really, really good. Heisman season in 87, caught just 39 passes, but he averaged 22 yards per catch. When this guy, essentially, when you go back and watch and you read about him, he made plays when he had the football in his hands. I need someone to do that. Where gets the ball to those guys? I've got the playmakers in the backfield. I need a guy who can be dynamic in what he wants to do. So I'm going Tim Brown with my pick. And I guess I go again right here, correct?
Yep, 2 in a row.
Okay, so 2 in a row.
Great pick.
I'm going Tim Brown there. I've got to figure out where I want to go with this one. You see Tim Brown's?
A lot of good receivers.
Yeah, this is hard. If I want a compliment, I'm going to go. I need to see something real quick.
You know, I just talked about how I'm taking guys that racked up awards. You just took a wide receiver that won the Heisman Trophy. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about Tim Brown right there. A receiver that could win the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, no, I mean, you start to really kind of look at what he did. Okay, I'm going with this guy, big-bodied, guy. He's going to complement, I think, Tim Brown really well. I thought I wanted him, but here I'm going with Shannon Sharp, a guy that Savannah State, was a really, really good football player. Obviously, we know. So I'm going Shannon Sharp. That's who I'm rolling with. My combination, I feel like I've got 2 different guys that can do stuff out of the backfield and then 2 different types of receivers that are going to be a part of this, fun and gun offense that I want to run with Andre Ware. So
yeah,
you take
Shannon
that pick
Sharp.
now.
You got versatility there, too. He did play wide receiver in college at Savannah State, like his older brother, Sterling, who was a wide receiver. Tweener, that's why he moved to tight end in the NFL. I could go a lot of different ways here. I could go the HBCU route again. I'm kind of surprised you didn't go with the other big HBCU guy. There's a couple more NFL Hall of Famers on our list. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go with the other HBCU guy. I'm going to take Jerry Rice.
Can't argue with that.
Delta Valley, Mississippi Delta Valley State. I always get confused on what that school's called, but Jerry Rice ended up, you saw, everybody knows we did in the NFL, becoming arguably the greatest receiver of all time. Just get him the ball. He's going to do it. My receiver room, interesting, with Michael Irvin and Jerry Rice. I feel like those are 2 guys that kind of do the same thing. But you get the ball in their hands, they're going to find the end zone. And the few times that I'm going to throw the ball, I'm looking to score a touchdown as little as I'm going to throw the ball. So
I want to add in this real quick because it's a guy that neither of us picked, but he was really, really good. Anthony Carter that played at Michigan. Averaged 19 yards a catch, 37 touchdown catches, was also had 3 top 10 Heisman finishes and was twice a unanimous All-American. There were just some really, really good football players in the 80s. And this is when you kind of look at these it's kind of fun to really look at. Yeah. So that's where
really
I'm going with this. Also,
especially that wide receiver position. Some other names in the draft pool I want to throw out there. Chris Collinsworth was in the pool. Really kind of a quiet college career. Didn't even hit 2,000 receiving yards, just 14 touchdowns, but first team All-American in 1980. Herman Moore went on to have a great NFL career. Lindsey Scott, who you had to educate me on Lindsey Scott.
That hurt me right there. Yeah.
And Andre Rison, former Atlanta Falcon, was in our pool, but obviously we didn't go there. So what are we moving to tight end, or are we skipping tight end?
No, let's go tight end because I've got my tight end. He's not on our draft pool. I have this one locked in. So you go, but you go first. You go first.
I mean,
it is your turn.
It is my turn. It is my turn. Looking at be honest, I don't really know many of these tight ends. So I'm going to go with a guy that was a 2-time unanimous All-American. In fact, had a lot of receiving yards, I think, for a tight end in the 1980s. Gordon Hudson, 2,400 receiving yards, 22 touchdowns, 2-time unanimous All-American. You think 1980s, you're not going to expect to get a lot of production from a receiving tight end. But Gordon Hudson would bring that element to my offense that I'm building here. Obviously, he'll have to block. But again, I'm expecting to run the ball a ton with Bo Jackson and Marcus Allen. So if I'm putting it in the air, I'm looking for 6 points every time I do that. So this is another guy that can find the end zone.
No, Ralph, we're not going to take Troy legend Ted Clem. I don't even know who that is.
We're not even taking kickers.
This guy, he got overheated in the back of the UPS truck today. Lindsey Scott had one catch make his whole career. And it's probably still more notable than anything they've done in Atlanta. So I'm just moving on. All right, so moving on. Here we go. He's not on the list. And this team barely threw the football. Will, you're going to love this. They barely throw the football. I got to find where I was going again with this. Oh, gosh. Where did this tab go where I was talking about this guy? Okay, here we go. Oklahoma really didn't like throwing the football. Keith Jackson, not the broadcaster, but Keith Jackson was really, really good. He scored 19 total touchdowns in his career. He was an All-American unanimous as a blocker, a guy that could stretch the field. He averaged 24 yards per catch. He had a little get up after the catch, too. I'm going Keith Jackson because he's a winner. He was on Oklahoma teams that were unbelievable. That's really kind of why I was thinking about taking Barry Switzer to be the head coach because he was a daggum good football coach.
He was.
And 1985 national champion. I'm going Keith Jackson because, look, if we're going to have those two running backs and Barry Sanders and Herschel Walker, I got to have a guy that can block. But if we want to, play what Andre Ware wants to play, then we need a guy who can stretch the field too. So you add in Sharp, add in Shannon Sharp, and you add in this guy and Keith Jackson. It's two big body guys. I don't think anybody's stopping us in the red zone with that combination.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So yeah. Okay.
Off again? I don't know. Snake draft's complicated when you've only got two people.
It is.
Okay. You know what?
Ted Clem is a Troy Bone. He had a 50-yard to win the D2 national championship. How do you not know Ted Clem? I don't know him because he doesn't even have a full last name. So when you don't have a full last name, I can't respect that. The 1984 D2 national championship. Look at Ralph over there researching.
It was a D2 national championship. That's why we don't know.
Okay, it's my turn here. You ready for this? Easy pick. We're going offensive line unit. I'm taking Nebraska.
Okay.
And you know what I'm taking? Because they had a guy that played on their offensive line named Dave Remington. Mm-hmm. Literally the award's named after him. If you get an award named after you, you're pretty good. And Dean Steinkuhler, he scored a touchdown in the 1984 Orange Bowl against in the loss against Miami. So, yes, they had the nation's #1 rushing and scoring offense in back-to-back seasons in 84 and 85. That's what I'm rolling with. I'm going with Nebraska's offensive line.
I'm glad you took them because it's not the one that I wanted. I'm going to take USC's offensive line.
There we go.
Look, if you just do a quick look of all the 1980 All-American teams, the 1982 USC offensive line is the only unit to have two All-Americans. Bruce Matthews went on to be have a Hall of Fame NFL career. Don Mosbar, be honest, don't know much about him, but I see he played for USC and he was an All-American. Tony Slayton, another name in 1983. So, just a collection. Obviously, USC was a offensive line clinic in the 80s, so I'm taking USC.
No, that's a good one. Another good one, Oklahoma, would have been a really, really good pick there, too. Another great. I don't see App State winning national championships.
I gotta be a homer again. Auburn did actually have a All-American offensive lineman, 1986 center Ben Tamburillo. Also an all-time Auburn name there, Ben Tamburillo. Center. So you want to talk about your Remington? I got Tamburillo.
I like it. I can respect it. All right. By the way, Ralph, they App State won back-to-back-to-back national championships in the FCS 05, 06, 07. So if you don't see it, you're just not reading.
And then they beat Michigan.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Will, your pick here. We're not doing units. Now we're on the defensive side of the football.
Taking one defensive lineman, one
linebacker, one DB. All right.
Start with defensive line. I got to do it. Got to do it, man. Another guy that just won a plethora of awards, Tracy Rocker. I mean, his 1988 season for Auburn, one of the best seasons of a defensive lineman ever. Won the Outland Award and the Lombardi Award, two biggest awards for defensive linemen. Unanimous All-American 1988, consensus All-American 1987. Had a really, really good NFL career, and has shown he's developed into a really good defensive line coach. I know that doesn't have anything to do with what for our drafting purposes, but I mean, just that if I can get that 1988 Tracy Rocker, I mean, nobody's running on me. Nobody's getting through the middle on me. You can run Herschel Walker and Barry Sanders up the middle all you want to. They're not getting past Tracy Rocker.
I like that. Who's your quarterback again?
Vinny Testaverde.
Okay, he better be mobile because I'm taking Reggie White, the all-time sacks leader in Tennessee football history. 15 in a season. He had 293 total tackles, 32 sacks, 19 tackles for loss, 4 fumble recoveries, and 7 batted down passes. One of the more feared pass rushers in SEC in college football history. And shout out a guy who used to live across the hallway from me in college. His dad was best friends with Reggie White. He was a walk-on at Tennessee when Reggie White was there. So, I'm going Reggie White. I like what Reggie White brings to the table. I want a pure pass rusher. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, where's Sam Lord? You're drafting a Tennessee player. He won't believe this when I tell him this. Reggie White, unanimous All-American 1983, and was the SEC Player of the Year as a defensive end. Everybody knows what he went on to do with the Eagles. And then the Packers, right? He went to the Packers after.
Yes. Yeah.
So you got your pass rusher.
I'm about to add another one. You ready for this?
No, you're gonna take him away.
I'm taking Derek Thomas from Alabama. I'm taking 2 SEC guys. Derek Thomas, the second highest single season sack total behind Jonathan Allen, by the way, who had more in a single season. But Derek Thomas holds the Alabama record, 52 career sacks at Alabama. They've had some really good pass rushers, especially recently. Unanimous All-American Award winner and a Butkus Award winner in 1988. He's a daggum good football player. And Will, I'm telling you, your boy Vinny, he better be ready, or it's going to be rough. Because if you got that on one side and both sides, it could be rough.
I've got a bunch of All-Americans on that offensive line to stop him. Man, so I was going to take somebody, but I don't know. I don't think I can take him because he only played 1980. He was in college 70. Okay. Why is this not? There's no stats here. What is this? This website is worthless. This website's worthless. I'm going to take Lawrence Taylor. Big LT. That's my pass rusher. Played at North Carolina.
Now, when we post this on social, people are going to come after you saying he really didn't get to play in the 80s. But I'm allowing it I'm allowing it for the show.
He played in 1980. The ACC Player of the Year in 1980, unanimous All-American in 1980. I'm looking for basically he had 16 sacks in 1980. Holds a ton of records for UNC. And then everybody knows what he did. Jonesy, this is whatever we want it to be, okay?
Yeah.
16 sacks. I mean, he's going to bring the pass rush, and what a lot of people don't talk about when you talk about Lawrence Taylor is just his speed. Andre Ware, he's going to be running for his life if Lawrence Taylor gets through your offensive line.
Yeah. That's fair. And it's fair because I'm about to do the same thing. I might do the same thing later on in the draft. But
Ooh,
you're going DB first.
going
Take who you
DB
want, pal.
first. We got in trouble for talking about this guy. Are we gonna get in more trouble?
No, because
talking
he's one
about
of the
him tonight?
greatest players ever in
I
college
don't, I
football.
don't think so. I'm taking Deion Sanders for my defensive back, building my DB room around Deion. Let's see. Had well, why are we these websites, man? I'm telling you.
I got. Are you looking at Sports Reference? Because I've got no stats either over here.
Yeah, I'm looking at Sports Reference. 14 career interceptions. For Deion, runs them back for touchdowns. I mean, what can you say about Deion? Everybody knows Deion. Neon Deion. Get to team up him and Bo Jackson for the first time. Sorry, I looked at the comments. Taking Deion. He's CB1. And who are your receivers again? I forget.
Well, I mean, I've got one of the greatest unheralded receivers. In I'll remember his name here in a second.
Tim Brown. You got Tim Brown, right?
I've got Tim Brown and I've got Shannon Sharp.
I need Deion to lock up Tim Brown. Don't think he can do much with Shannon Sharp, but if I can just take out one of your receivers, I'll be in good shape.
Yeah, well, that's why I took Keith Jackson because he can stretch.
Jonesy, he didn't have 3 toes on 1 foot in 1985.
Yeah, come on, my guy. All right, I'm taking a guy who played from 77 to 80. One of the more feared defensive backs in football history. I'm going Ronnie Lott, USC.
Great pick.
Ronnie Lott was unbelievable. And if you're taking LT, I'm going Ronnie Lott because he had played 1 season. I think that evens it out right there. But you look at what this guy was doing. Unbelievable football player. He was kind of, spearheaded a USC defense, which you talked about as a USC team that was really, really good during the 80s. I had looked at a guy, I got Jimmy Johnson, the head coach. You look at some other players. Benny Blades was the backbone of first off, what a name. That's all named right there.
Great name.
2-time consensus All-American. He set a record at Miami with 19 interceptions, was only surpassed by Ed Reed, who I'm sure will be on our big board when we head into the 90s. That's going to be a lot of fun. But Ronnie Lott, I mean, yeah, he was great in the NFL, but he started that Hall of Fame career at USC, 1978 national championship team. But in that 1980 season, he led the country in interceptions with 8, and he was a unanimous All-American. So I'm going Ronnie Lott. So
it's a great pick.
Concludes the draft. All right. We don't have a graphic for it.
No, we don't. But we've got to talk about some names that we did not draft.
Oh, dude.
We got to.
You look at some of these. It's ridiculous.
There was a comment on that. I think that was our man right here, James McCoy. No Mike Rozier, Emmitt Smith, or Thurman Thomas.
I thought about Emmitt.
I did too. But I am a homer. So what am I going to do? I'm just not going to take Bo Jackson.
And you kind of look at, I've got one too here, Will. Obviously, everyone, I've got 2 linebackers that I really liked. Obviously, everyone thinks of Brian Bosworth. The Boz, was unbelievable. 413 tackles in 3 seasons. That's a mind-boggling stat when it comes to linebackers. But another one played from 84 to 87 on an Ohio State team. He's the career leader in solo tackles. Chris Spielman was a really, really good linebacker up in Columbus, Ohio. So that's another one that I looked at. And Bruce Smith, defensive end at Virginia Tech, another really, really good. That was a really, really good player.
Yeah.
Outland Trophy Award.
So, and this one surprised me that this guy was an All-American. Did not know he really did anything on the playing field. Only know him as a coach. And that's Jack Del Rio, All-American in the 80s, playing at USC, playing linebacker. Ron Rivera, another guy.
Riverboat Ron?
NFL coach. Had an All-America season in there in the 80s too. And then Mike Singletary in 1980, another guy that kind of doesn't, we probably shouldn't count, but it felt would be remiss if we didn't note him in his 1980 All-America season.
You go back to quarterback, that position is kind of loaded in terms of name value.
Yes. It is.
Doug Flutie is remembered for the one play. That guy was a really, really good quarterback outside of that. The first player to surpass 10,000 yards in a career when he was at Boston College. Obviously, the signature moment against Miami, who just falls victim to signature moments all the time. So there's that. But yeah, no, I mean, you talk about a guy, Doug Flutie, who changed Boston College. I mean, took him to a 10-2 record in the number 5 overall ranking in 1984. Flutie's got to be up there. And let's get to a couple of these. Yeah. Ken says, Spiels was a beast. Yeah, he really was good. And then Jack was a beast as well. Another one, Will, I wanted to ask you about was you go back down to defensive line. You could kind of I could have picked an entire Miami team. I really could have. Jerome Brown.
They were leading the charge in NIL before NIL was a thing.
Oh, look, 1986, that defense only allowed 12.4 points per game. I think the 86-87 Miami is in the conversation for one of the best teams of all time. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Which
there's a lot of Miami teams that are in that conversation.
Very, very good. And then I mentioned Benny Blades. That was my other one. He was really, really good as well. So any other names stick out to you?
Miami was an ACC at the time, but an ACC defensive lineman we didn't talk about was the refrigerator, William Perry. Really, really good Clemson career for him. Obviously, everybody knows we did in the NFL. An Arkansas defensive lineman, guy that you could probably put on the all-name team, Billy Ray Smith. Just for Arkansas, perfect for the SEC. And going back to these quarterbacks, man, I said his name a couple times, kind of laughing about it. Tommy Hodson, LSU quarterback.
He's really good.
His resume is great. Over 9,000 passing yards, 69 touchdowns, 3-time first team All SEC, 86, 87, 89, and SEC Freshman of the Year in 86. For a guy that doesn't get talked about a lot nowadays, that resume is very impressive. Some more guys that went on to have good NFL careers. Troy Aikman, obviously a guy that utilized the transfer portal before it existed. Todd Blackledge, everybody knows him for his broadcasting work.
Mm-hmm.
Randall Cunningham, 8,000 passing yards in college, 59 touchdowns. You said you were going to take him, but you went Andre Ware. I think as far as college goes, that's a better pick. But obviously we know what happened in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And then John Elway, who don't know much about his college career, over 9,000 passing yards, unanimous All-American in 1982. Steve Young. Yeah. I mean,
Dan Marino.
Yeah, I didn't even think about Dan Marino.
You look at the quarterbacks, it's nuts.
Just some all-time great quarterbacks playing in the 80s. More running
Boomer
backs,
Esiason.
Eric Dickerson. Boomer Esiason, who, I mean, you talked about Andre Ware lifting up Houston. Boomer Esiason did the same thing for Maryland. I mean, they were a top team nationally during his time there. A lot of to how he played on the field. Another running back we decided not to go with, Eric Dickerson, SMU. Another NIL school before it was cool.
Yeah, friend of the program though. SMU. No shade thrown.
No. That was old SMU. We love new SMU.
New SMU, yeah. I'm looking at this, Will. Another name that is kind of interesting that a lot of people may not, casual like us, may not come to.
Oh, we're definitely casuals when it comes to the 80s.
Don McPherson. Don McPherson played quarterback at Syracuse.
Yes.
He took. This is a cool little story. Number 11, Penn State, comes into the Carrier Dome. They've beaten Syracuse 16 straight years. Syracuse beats them 48-21. He led Syracuse to an 11-0 season in a Sugar Bowl. He finished second in the Heisman voting to my guy Tim Brown from Notre Dame. So that you talk about revitalizing, and we mentioned Doug Flutie. Don McPherson fits that role as well.
Yeah, no doubt. So,
I want to get to this comment. This is hilarious.
Yes.
So I didn't hear the rules. Are there teams playing in the 80s? Are they playing now? Because y'all's entire defense is suspended before 10 minutes into the game by today's rules. Rules-wise, no. Rules-wise, we're letting them play where they were.
Let the boys play. Let them play.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Just let them play. Yeah. Will, you want to end it with this? You're the best team in the 80s.
Oh man, the best team in the Like I said, I'm casual. Auburn had some really good teams in the 80s. I'm gonna have to look. I have to look.
Okay, I'll go ahead and explain mine. 87 Miami. They only lost one regular season game from 85 to 86, but they did lose some bad bowl games. A blowout to Tennessee and the national championship against Penn State in the Fiesta Bowl. You know, Vinny Testaverde leaves and Jerome Brown in 87. But Steve Walsh and Benny Blades led a dominant defense. Listen to this season in 87. They opened up with 3 consecutive wins against number 4 Florida State. They ended up beating 2 more top 20 teams. They ended the season with 3 consecutive wins, number 10 Notre Dame, number 8 South Carolina, and they beat number 1 Oklahoma. That was one of the greatest national championship games too. 87 Oklahoma and Miami in the Orange Bowl. So they played the game at home. I'm going with 1987 Miami is my best team overall in the 80s. Fun one though.
I like that pick. I'm deciding on. Man, I'm deciding on do I want to troll here, because there's a great troll candidate for me, and you know who I'm talking about. Ken knows who
80
I'm talking
Georgia?
about too, I'm sure. That's not the troll candidate, but they're on the short list here, because that was a really, really good team that won the national championship.
81 Clemson.
I'm
They're
actually
really
gonna let me see. I'm gonna go with the 1980. Do I want to do that? I don't think I want to do that. I'm actually gonna go with it. I have no idea, because I'm casual. I have no idea. Do I just take a national champion? I think I'm just gonna take a national champion. I'm gonna go with Miami too, but 1989.
89's ridiculous, by the way. I need to go back up to this. It's Dennis Erickson's first year.
I mean, they killed everybody except for Florida State, who beat them 24-10. I mean, they open at Wisconsin, beat them 51-3. They played Cal, they beat them 31-3. I mean, these aren't world beaters in 1989, but I mean, they're just stomping them. They blanked Cincinnati. Everybody knows how good Cincinnati was in 1989, 56-0. But yeah, they beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl to get that national title.
All right, I just got a comment real quick.
Before that, Notre Dame, they beat number 1 Notre Dame 27-10. So
I got a comment here real quick. My good friend Rod McKenzie over on Twitter. Rod grew up in the Pittsburgh. He grew up a Pitt fan, I believe. Rod, correct me if I'm wrong. He's going 1981 Pitt. That team was really, really good too. That's a good one right there. 1981 Pitt. You go back and look at one of them. I also say 1982 Penn State was really, really good. 86 Penn State, 88 Notre Dame, like we talked about. But man, 1980s football was a lot of fun. It's kind of what our parents kind of grew up on too. I think when you look back, like that's their early teenage years. That's what they were kind of growing up on. Yeah. And man, 1980s football.
Hey,
good.
you picked that Pitt offensive coordinator for that 1981 Pitt Panthers football team, Joe Moore. So no surprise there. And Jackie Sherrill winning the national title. Interesting note. It could not have. That could have been. That Sugar Bowl could have been Jackie Sherrill's last game. He was really wanted that Auburn job in 1982, which is very interesting. He would leave a national champion to. No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
No, I'm just laughing at this comment. Troll Pick is the Black Watch Tech team.
Okay. Thought you were laughing at me saying what? That's
no.
But yeah. Wow,
that's good stuff.
They were the second best independent behind Penn State.
Well, it was fun.
We're casuals.
Right. We're casuals. This is what we're going to do, though. You to see the full teams, head over to our social channels, whether that's Instagram, whether that's X/Twitter or Facebook. Will and I are going to be putting ours head to head. Let us know in the comments section what you think the better team is, and hey, if you're watching after the fact or listening to this, let us know who you think the better team is. We're kind of rolling in to a game against each other, going head to head, playing neutral site. We'll give them that neutral site game there too. They're playing Legion Field That's where they're going to play. I've decided.
That's not a neutral site. It's not a neutral site.
No, it's not. I don't know. All right, just think back and see if you guys can remember where you were in '85. Yeah, I don't think I was thought of. I don't think my parents were married. So there's that. All right. Next week, upcoming schedule. Stay tuned to the if you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, head over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, find daily content that we're going to be pushing out here, continuing to do more and more of that. Just short little reactions, short thoughts on what's going on in our college football world, which is being turned upside down each and every single day. Live on Mondays and Wednesdays, however, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. This Monday, we're talking our post-spring best case and worst case scenarios for the ACC. Should be fun. I know a large portion of our fan base is going to be tuned into that one, so that should be a lot of fun to talk about that and more. He is Will Manis. My name's Bryce Koon. Ralph Leary on the couch. Gavin Hart tending to his dogs. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time here on the Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.